Hello, everybody. This is Zero to Hero, where everyday Canadians are getting ahead with real estate. This is the show where we dive into the success stories of several real world investors. We dive into the strategies that help take their business to the next level. You get to know the who, learn the how to get what you need to succeed. My name is Daniel Blagrove, and I'm with the awesome, the amazing TJ Ainsborough. Listen, he is a family man, married with 2 young kids. He owns a flipping company in Simcoe County and as well a pawn shop in Wasaga Beach. TJ, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Daniel. Thanks for having me.
No, the pleasure is all mine. Look, man, this is 10 questions with counsel, so I'm going to shoot you straight with 10 questions. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's make it happen. I'm going to start off a little light. All right. I'm going to need you to take us back. Talk to us about why you got into real estate in the first place.
When I was younger, around 18, I got hired as a Finnish carpenter. I used to work down in the GTA, and it was just one of those jobs where I actually saw the whole process. So they used to buy up the single family houses that were older, out to date. They'd tear them down. They'd build the multi-million-dollar mansions, and I used to finish those, and it was a really cool learning experience. I saw the whole process, and it got me right into it. So and then I, obviously HGTV, all of that stuff. When you start getting into something, you start getting like everything around you starts becoming it. So like I love that income property show. I wanted to duplex every house I bought, just but that's kind of how it started. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, obviously, we got the HGTV shows. It's awesome that you've been able to get that connection and have that hands-on experience early on. But with all that taken into consideration, what were some things that you were doing before all that took place, before it got you started into investing in real estate?
Yeah. So ever since I was a kid, I essentially like had that flipping addiction. So like my family wasn't very well off. So for me to get a new toy or get anything, I'd have to sell an old toy or do something, some sort of hustle to be able to get it. So whether it was like, my first computer, I'd take all the ones on the side of the road and I put them all together, and I built myself a first computer. I'd go to the garage sales, I'd sell my Legos to go buy some Pokemon cards or vice versa. So I was always buying and selling something. I moved out on my own when I was 15, and I was just buying and selling everything you could think of, like cell phones, laptops, what have you. I used to do all these little hustles, like even like an EB Games hustle where I'd look at the hot list. I'd go down to the local pawn shop. I'd find all the ones that they're paying big bucks at the EB Games for, trade up, grab the games, bring them up to EB Games, get the gift cards, and I'd do these like little random hustles, so much that they actually hired me at the pawn shop.
Wow.
They're like, we know what you're doing here. We think you'd be perfect for the job. So they hired me there. And then from there, I, started flipping like bigger stuff. So it went from, pawn shop to flipping vehicles. I started buying and selling vehicles, and I partnered with a mechanic and a body mechanic. So we used to buy mechanically sound ones that looked rough on the outside. He'd make them look beautiful, and then we were flipping, kind of bigger profits and stuff. So all of that kind of got into real estate. Like eventually, okay, what's bigger than cars? Well, a house is bigger than cars, right? So it just got bigger and bigger. So
yeah, absolutely. Like the question is, what's got more zeros on it? And that's how you got into real estate. That's awesome, dude. If we grew up in a barter society, oh my goodness, that would be your playground right there. That would be phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, you still figured it out with us having the dollar now as the currency anyway, though. So that's amazing. So, I mean, you already told us so much about where you're coming from, which explains to me exactly why you're so good at what you're doing. But tell me something that most people, even yet, don't know about you still.
I guess you kind of said at the beginning, I do own a pawn shop in Wasaga Beach. I was able to buy that with completely OPM. So I was able to put that whole deal together with none of my own money. A funny thing that people don't know, I'm actually banned from the North Toronto auction, and from flipping so many vehicles. They they got mad at me because I was going in there buying stuff without a dealership license, and they're like, you have to get a dealership license. You're buying too many and flipping. And eventually they just like took a picture of me. They put it up, and they're like, you're not allowed in here. If he's in here, you can't sell a vehicle to him. So,
yeah, dude. Yeah. So that's insane. They don't want you doing the volume that you was doing. They felt like you was doing too much, man.
Yeah.
good thing in real estate that you don't have that kind of cap on you. So that's amazing, which I'm sure we'll get to later. All right. Yeah. So you're in the real estate game, right? You've been flipping all kind of items, right? So real estate to you is nothing different. But I can imagine there has been some sort of a learning curve in some respect when it comes to doing real estate deals. So walk with us through a time where you made a major mistake or you did something that you definitely don't want to ever do again, even if your closest loved one was going through it, you don't want them doing that. What happened?
Yeah, there's like, before I joined council, it was just nothing but failing forward. And even after I joined council, I was still making mistakes. One big one that I made about 6 or 7 months ago was I bought a property as is, which is normal. I buy all my properties like that. But this one was already pre-gutted and done. A lot of the work was done from the previous owner. And due to my lack of knowledge of what to look for, everything that I saw, to my knowledge, looked good. And it turns out there was a lot of structural issues that I wasn't aware of that ended up coming to fruition. It turned out half this house was built with no permits, which was absolutely insane because it was on a very busy road. I don't know how it, all those, like, I can't believe it didn't, it happened like that. Like, how did they get away with it? But they did. And then I got stuck holding the hot potato. Yeah, so that would be one thing I would, give everybody a heads up. Anything to do with structural, always have a second opinion. Don't be afraid to bring your contractors through, or, have a second opinion on everything. And, and you don't have to essentially lock up everything you see, which was what I was doing. But yeah, so that's the big takeaway.
Man, and you know what's interesting? You have so much experience already doing business transactions, whether it's flipping Pokemon cards, flipping cars. You're now doing houses. So it's interesting that you joined council, because with all the experience you have, you would think that some people would think, oh, I already know what I need to do. I just got to go out and do it. So TJ, my question to you is, why did you join council? And what was the biggest thing so far that you've been able to take away from it?
The biggest thing was just how fast you can move when you're laser focused, how much bigger you can go than you think you can go. I went from, I flipped 5 houses in 10 years to 10 houses in 10 months. It's crazy how fast you can go when you have confidence. When you have a hiccup, being able to jump on a phone and talk through it, breaking through those limiting beliefs. It was crazy how many ways I learned how to make money better than what I was doing and how much money I was leaving on the table before. So yeah, it was just, yeah.
the value of speed and compression is like, and just getting that expertise, it just allows you to move so much faster. And just like you said, the reality is you were doing pretty good, but you never actually realized how much bigger you could be doing it now that you're connected with people who actually can really help you get there. That's phenomenal. Yeah,
so instead of that. Absolutely. So instead of one every, couple of years, like I would flip one and then I'd go back into my routine and, go back out west and I'd work 6 months and then I'd come back and I might flip another house or whatever. And just got into that really slow, like kind of like a turtle. And then like all of a sudden it's like I'm the hare now, going super crazy. And like we're almost at $500,000 in 10 months. And it's absolutely insane.
$500,000. Goodness gracious, man. You are definitely killing the game. Super proud and inspirational stuff that you have going on here. All right. So we talked about some of the mistakes. We talked about what we're looking to do to move with speed. So now's the time to give us your Mountaintop experience so far. What has been the best deal that you've been able to acquire and execute and profit from?
So it's not my most profitable deal, but it was the coolest deal that I was able to put the most amount of strategies together all at once to be able to make like an insane win-win-win for everybody. So I ended up getting this lead through my flyer campaign, and I got a call. He said, I had this property, the tenant's not paying me rent, which I didn't want to tackle because in Ontario, it's a nightmare. And so I knew I didn't want it. I had 3 flips on the go, and I was like, you know, I shot my shot. I was like, hey man, if I'm going to take this, I got to factor in, like, I'm going to hold this thing for a year and a half, maybe 2 years before I can get this guy out. It's Ontario, right?
Yeah.
So then, and then my only way to make it profitable would be to duplex it. And again, you know, that's a lot more incurred costs and whatnot. So I ended up shooting a shot. It was like 45 cents on the dollar. And I was expecting him to say no. And then he said, how soon can you close? And I was like, okay, 3 weeks. And it was crazy. So we end up closing on it. This tenant, so I go and I meet the tenant. Tenant's losing his mind on me. Like, I thought he was going to attack me when I went to go meet him. And he's in a bathrobe, just losing his mind. And I'm like, hey man, I'm the new owner. He's like, prove it, blah, blah, blah. It was so like emotionally like crazy for the first. I ended up hiring a paralegal, which he refused to talk to. The paralegal actually was really cool. He actually offers the cash for keys negotiation as part of one of his services. So nice. I was like, yeah, try that. And this tenant was one of those tenants that I when I got home that day after talking to him the first time, I was welcomed by an email by him that was 4 pages long in PDF format of all of his rights and whatnot for of what he has as a tenant. And that I'm like, I'm never getting this guy out. This guy is a professional tenant. I just bought a house I'm stuck with. And then 3 weeks later, after the paralegal talked to him about cash for keys, I get an email saying, hey, if you can give me, I think it was 6,500 or something, I'll be out in 3 weeks. I was like, absolutely. Where, like, how fast can I get this to you? So we ended up paying him. When I did the walkthrough in January, before I took it over, I did a walkthrough. There was like 1 cat and a dog. And I was like, okay, walking around, things are pretty rough. There was a ton of like scentsy things and stuff like that. And I could tell like the cat wasn't fixed. And when he moved, he left. I'm telling you, the basement was so full that it was touching the ceiling of garbage. I had 11 bins of garbage that this guy left.
No.
11 doubles, like the big bins, not the small
bins.
No way. Bins. 11 bins. This guy, I talked to the neighbor because when I walked in, I got a video on my Facebook that you guys, or my Instagram. I walked in and my eyes started leaking. There was so much cat spray, like cat urine in that house that like it was making my eyes water just at the door. And I talked to the neighbor and found out he had like 6 cats in between the time that he was like breeding them or something in between the time that I took over and then he left. And the smell was unbelievable. There was so much that it like leaked from the second floor, like so much urine that it leaked through the second floor into the main floor. So I'm buying this house that I did not know I needed to gut. Now I need to gut it. Thank God I got it at a deal. And so we're working on it. And all of a sudden I come in contact with another investor. He actually helped me sell one of my other deals. And I was talking to him about this deal. I was like, look, I don't have the crew for this. It was a bigger job than I expected. I had 3 other flips on the go. You know, this deal wasn't like, I wasn't even supposed to close on it. It was just such a good deal. So he's like, well, how about I buy it off you? He's like, but I can't find financing. And so for numbers perspective, I bought it for 165. It was worth, a little bit over 3 if it was turnkey. I was about, with all the garbage, the paralegal stuff like that, I was about to almost closing cost financing, $200K into the deal. I worked out a deal with him to hold the financing for the 6 months to let him finish it as a duplex, get rid of the cat urine spray and all that. And so I sold it to him for $275. And I didn't have I'm working on 3 other flips. I don't have the money to hold this financing. but he said, I'll buy it off you. You just got to hold the financing. So I raised 170-ish grand unsecured and held that mortgage with my built-in equity. And he was able to put 20% down. So it was about a $220,000 mortgage. So I was able to make 75 grand, then hold the mortgage on it, which at an interest rate of 15%, I'm getting payments on as well. So I turned this property that was going to be, I was probably going to break even on it and not make any money after the amount of damage done, to a very profitable flip on top of extra gravy with the interest rate, and did it all unsecured and OPM. So that was my favorite deal.
Dude, the ability, it just goes to show you that just because it may appear to be down doesn't mean you're out. You just got to find a way to create a scenario that can be a win-win-win for everybody, which is exactly what you did. That's phenomenal. So you obviously have a ton of experience. You've made a ton of money. But let's go back to the TJ before he got into real estate, right? With the resources that you had when you first started, but the knowledge and experience that you have now, how would the TJ in the beginning, what would you do differently?
I would borrow a ton of capital right off the bat, just like I did with that last example on that property. I would just find some capital, find people to invest in me. I would hire right away. I would hire a sales team. I would hire a project manager, hire an admin, and just go to town. Then the knowledge that I know, and the best thing about hiring these people, they're essentially better than you are in those positions. So that project manager that I would hire, exactly like I did with my company, even though I was experienced and knew how to flip, the guy I hired had 25 years experience on me. So he saw, he would have walked into that initial bad deal I told you about to watch out for, and saw it right away and said, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, which I didn't know. So I would have hired more experienced people, hired them right away, hired the sales team to be able to get the deals super quick, all day, every day. And I would go to town.
Man, phenomenal. All right, we're going to round this out with a few more questions. All right. So we talked about what you would do differently if you had to start over, but take us to the year 2026. All right. 5 years from now, TJ, what are you doing?
Hopefully I have put myself in a good enough cushion where I can kind of flip the script a little bit. I really liked holding that BTB, doing those type of scenarios. If I can invest in somebody like these lenders have invested in me, find, myself just, out there doing it. That's what I like to do. Just kind of be the money guy, just funding other people doing what I'm doing, and maybe provide a little bit of mentorship to them if they need to help guide them through.
Man, nothing better than once you've accomplished for yourself, you can help others do the same. That's awesome. That's amazing. So there are some beginners right now, TJ, that are listening to your story and they're super inspired. I'm inspired, and they want to start their own journey. What are the first 3 things that they should do as beginners starting out?
Put down the book, turn off YouTube, find a mentor. That's it. So whatever you decide that you want to do, whether it's, active, passive, flipping, wholesaling, buy and holds, burrs, whatever it is, find the guy who is where you want to be, better than you, in your market, whatever it is. And find a way to be value, provide value to them, find a way to seek mentorship through them, and avoid all the failing forward that I did before I joined council. And, it saves, you go from 10 years down to 10 months. Like that is insane when you do it like that. So, yeah.
You 10x the time by getting with the right people who have done what you're looking to do and have already trod the path. All you got to do is just run that path and make it happen for yourself. All right. So TJ, before I let you go, you have done amazing things. You're only going to continue to do more as you're on your way to becoming that private lender and that bank for other investors to do deals the same way you are right now. But TJ, how can people stay connected to you and how can they get in touch with you?
So you can follow me on Instagram at Flipping Simcoe. And you can find me on Facebook and just, send me a friend request, send me a DM, and I'd be happy to connect. So.
That's amazing. Thanks so much. We'll catch you on the next one. This has been Zero to Hero. I hope you took something out of it. Be sure to take action so that you can get results just like our guests that you've listened to today. Stay tuned for the next episodes, and we'll see you on the next one.